There are over 4,000 species of snake in the world. Most of them are harmless, but some can kill you in the worst ways imaginable. Today we're using a tier list to rank snake bites, building up to the worst you could possibly receive. From a bite that literally melts your insides to a venom that turns your brain off for good. Some of these snakes pack terrifying punches. But before we get to those, we're starting with the weakest bites all the way down in F tier. These are the small fossorial snakes found pretty much everywhere, from rainforests to deserts to even your backyard. There are tons of these tiny worm-like snakes covering the globe. They're in F tier because not only is their bite not serious, they can't bite humans at all. They're so adapted to a subterranean lifestyle, feeding on soft-bodied invertebrates, that their mouths are too small to physically bite a person. Some might have mild venom to immobilize worms, but their anatomy makes it impossible for them to even nip the webbing between your fingers. Moving into D tier, we have the small, non-venomous colubrids. Of the 4,000 known snake species, over 2,000 are colubrids, making them the most common group on the planet. Most of the snakes you see on a regular basis, unless you live in Australia, are colubrids. Most are small, hunting invertebrates or small amphibians and reptiles, and they just use their size to kill their prey. They don't need venom or powerful bites. And because of that, their bites feel like pretty much nothing. At most, you might get a small scratch or pinch, but their teeth are so tiny, they're pretty ineffective at biting people. They're useful pest control, so definitely not something to worry about. In C tier, we're moving up in size. Here we have the large, non-venomous colliebrods and small constrictors. Found worldwide, these larger snakes hunt bigger prey like birds and small mammals, and a lot of them use constriction. They do have teeth, but they're usually just for gripping while their muscular coils do the work. A lot of these are called rat snakes and racers for a reason, because they're bigger, their bite is going to suck more than the smaller snakes. Those big teeth, despite lacking venom, can break skin and maybe even rip you open. But by and large, they're not looking for a fight. Bites usually happen when you mess with them. In B tier, we're leaving the non-venomous snakes behind. While colubrids are usually non-venomous, some exceptions use toxic secretions to subdue prey, which can have interesting effects on humans. A common example is the hognose snake, which is rear-fanged and can deliver a somewhat painful bite. Most bites from these mildly venomous collibrids happen in captivity because their fangs are in the back of their mouths. They have to open really wide and chew on you to get those fangs to puncture your skin. The venom comes from a gland in their upper cheeks, like a modified saliva. Garter snakes and vine snakes are other examples. Call them mildly venomous because while the venom can kill their food on humans, it just causes local swelling, itching, or tingling. It's manageable and won't have a lasting impact. Which brings us to a tier where it starts to get interesting. These snakes are medically significant, meaning a bite is a medical emergency. We're not necessarily talking about deadly bites, but they will mess you up and could cause permanent damage without treatment. At the bottom of a tier are small terrestrial vipers, like pygmy rattlesnakes and European adders. They're ambush hunters with hemotoxic venom. Despite having potent venom, they have so little of it that the effects usually stay localized to the limb that was bitten. Deaths are incredibly rare. The bites are painful, causing lots of swelling, but death is not an expected outcome. Further up in a tier, we have small arboreal vipers, which are pretty much the same, but in rainforests. They rely on camouflage to ambush birds and lizards from low branches. Like their terrestrial cousins, they have small venom yields, so the effects are localized: pain, swelling, and maybe mild tissue death, but nothing that won't resolve with prompt treatment. Of all the venomous snakes on this list, if I had to be bitten by one, it'd be a Wagler's pit viper. They're not that toxic, and their venom is mostly neurotoxic. I know people in the reptile hobby who've been bitten by them and simply slept it off. I'm not saying you shouldn't seek medical attention, but it highlights that not all venomous snakes are created equal. In the middle of a tier, we have the moccasins, copperheads, cottonmouths, and cantles from North America. Copperheads cause the most snake bites in the US and have some of the least potent viper venom. But because these snakes get bigger, they can cause more pain and swelling, and deaths, while very rare, have been recorded. Cottonmouths and cantles are worse. Their venom is similar in toxicity to a rattlesnake's. but the damage tends to stay localized. The danger isn't usually death, but loss of limb. Some studies report 1 in 6 cantle bites required amputation. Even with anti-venom, you'll probably survive, but there's a chance you won't walk away in one piece. Up next are the large constrictors, reticulated pythons, Burmese pythons, and green anacondas. These are the only non-venomous snakes I'd consider medically significant, and only the really big ones. Despite no venom, the mechanical damage from their bite can be immense. Their huge, sharp teeth are designed to grip strong prey. A bite can cause insane lacerations, sever tendons, or even hit a major artery, which could be a death sentence in the middle of a rainforest. There's also a high risk of deep bacterial infections leading to septic shock. It's theoretically possible, and that's why they're here. Moving into higher tier, we have the death adder. They have one of the most potent venoms in the world, but they're small, with a low venom yield. They look like vipers, but are actually elapids, related to cobras. Their venom is neurotoxic, shutting down the nervous system. They're the fastest striking snake on Earth, but are very reluctant to bite anything that isn't food. The bite isn't painful, and the venom is slow acting. The danger is that you might not realize you've been envenomated for hours until you feel tired, and then paralysis sets in. Death comes from respiratory failure. But because it's so slow, you have plenty of time to get treatment. At the top of a tier is the stiletto snake, one of the most unique snakes in the world. These weird subterranean snakes have fangs that stick out the side of their mouth, so they can strike sideways like a poke or a sting. This also makes them very dangerous to handle. Their venom is a cytotoxin that melts the insides of their prey. In a defensive bite on you, it's digesting your insides, and the kicker, there's no anti-venom. Bites are extraordinarily painful, causing swelling and localized necrosis. It's not typically life-threatening, but, like the moccasins, you might not walk away in one piece. Luckily, you pretty much have to pick one up to get bitten. Now, we enter S tier, with truly life-threatening bites. If you're not treated, you will probably die. Kicking off S tier are the keelbacks. These brightly colored colubrids are like garter snakes, but wickedly venomous. They're rear-fanged, so bites are difficult, but they possess a gnarly hemotoxin. The bite causes intense hemorrhaging by disrupting your blood's ability to clot. Your body fills with blood while clots block your capillaries, leading to organ failure. As a bonus, they sequester toxins from the poisonous frogs they eat into glands on their neck, which they can ooze as a neurotoxic fluid. Luckily, they're very shy, so if you get bitten, you were probably doing something really stupid. Next up, the twig snakes from Africa. These masters of camouflage are dangerously venomous with a scary hemotoxin. Similar to the keelbacks, their venom stops your blood from clotting, causing internal bleeding and organ failure. It's a painful, awful way to go. Bites are rare because they have small mouths and live deep in the bush, away from people. But they are deadly. The herpetologist Robert Mertens was bitten and documented his own fatal symptoms, not believing they could kill a human. So, while their bite is dangerous, you're very unlikely to ever experience it. Moving up S tier, we have the rattlesnakes. There are over 60 species, so there's a lot of variation. Smaller ones might belong in a tier, but giants like the eastern diamondback are almost overkill, with so much toxic venom that you could have life-altering damage even with treatment. Most fall in the middle, with life-threatening bites, so we'll group them here. Their venom is hemotoxic, turning your blood into a jelly, causing massive swelling and intense pain. Amputations are not uncommon. They are ambush hunters, so avoiding a bite is as simple as being cautious when hiking and leaving them alone if you see one. Next, the lancehead vipers of Central and South America. Their bites are like worse versions of a rattlesnake's. Intense pain, swelling, and you can start bleeding from your gums within minutes. In severe cases, they cause such bad necrosis that your limbs literally die. Some Asian species don't even have an antivenom. In Latin America, the fer-de-lance is responsible for more deaths than any other snake in the Western Hemisphere. They live in deep rainforests, but if you're hiking there, you need to be very careful where you step. Then we have the black snakes of Australia. They're like light versions of cobras. The bite is a mix of neurotoxic and hemotoxic venom, and is very painful. The king brown, or mulga snake, has one of the most painful bites in Australia. Its venom contains myotoxins that specifically attack muscle cells. While most common black snakes don't cause deaths, the king brown absolutely can, usually from organ failure. Climbing the ranks, we have the Asian coral snakes, some of the most ancient and coolest looking elapids. Their bright colors are a warning. They hunt other venomous snakes, so their venom has to be powerful. They possess a unique neurotoxin called caliotoxin. Instead of shutting your nervous system down, it turns on every nerve and muscle, sending you into a blinding world of pain. Bites on humans are rare and usually localized, but deaths have been recorded. If you see their colorful warning, just keep your distance. Finally, we have the American coral snakes. Like their Asian cousins, they're brightly colored and hunt other snakes with a potent neurotoxic venom. But unlike the Asian ones, their bite is almost painless. The venom simply turns your nerves off. The danger is paralysis, eventually stopping your ability to breathe. They re-ranked higher than the Asian coral snakes because we know a bit more about just how effective that paralysis is. But there are still even scarier bites to come. Thanks for watching, and be sure to subscribe for the next part of our tier list.